So I think there are many advantages for a woman to be in science. Probably most importantly, you're going to be intellectually fulfilled, you'll be able to be creative, and you'll be able to achieve your dreams and do exciting experiments. And so I think you'll have a feeling of strong self-fulfillment. But also, there's a lot of freedom. Even though we work very hard and we have long hours, I do think you have a lot of personal freedom being a scientist. You get to travel, you get to meet lots of really interesting people, and you can make choices. For example, when I was starting my lab, I had the freedom to go to my daughter's school and help out children who couldn't read as well as other children. And how many people can leave their lab or their job in the middle of the day and go for a half an hour and help kids? So there are lots of opportunities to do many diverse things in this career, not just be stuck in the lab all day. There are impediments, there are difficult phases. I always tell people in my lab there are times when you're going to have to work very long hours and very hard, and there are other times when you can slack off and take it a little bit easier. I think there are impediments that are pretty specific to women. Still, even in this day and age, most of the child-bearing and rearing responsibilities fall to women, and often, at least in my case, I have 2 daughters, women feel in conflict. They're being pushed at work and to do things for their children, to show up for events. And so I think the most important thing is never feel guilty. Sometimes you have to prioritize the work, sometimes you have to prioritize the family, but guilt is not a productive emotion. Another impediment I think that women face is what my daughters now refer to as mansplaining. It's a new term in the United States. It's when a usually older, often white man will, in a very kind and condescending manner, explain things to a woman that she may just not have the skill set to comprehend. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat on grant panels reviewing grants where I'll say something, I'll come up with an idea, I'll state it, and there'll just be kind of no response. But a few minutes later, a man on the panel will make the exact same point, and people will be like, oh my God, what a brilliant idea. And there's a lot of times you just have to swallow it, but I advise women to speak up and say, well, I just made that point just a few minutes ago, and I'm glad you agree. You can do it in a nice way, but I think women who don't stick up for themselves and just are passive accumulate a lot of internal anger, and that's not healthy in science. It's important to really stick up for yourself and be a strong person and say what you think and make your voice heard. Other than working very hard, in this profession, I think when we go into it, we don't realize the diverse skill set that's required to be successful. You have to be a very good communicator. You have to be able to speak and sell your science to people and get them excited and enthusiastic about what you're doing. You have to be an excellent writer. I think often young scientists don't realize how much writing and good writing is involved in being a successful scientist. I think one of the things we're least well-equipped to deal with is all the personalities and the personal issues, hiring people, firing people, dealing with all of the problems of interpersonal relationships that might occur in the lab. And there's some programs now, and there's a lot of sources that you can go to get advice on how to deal with some of these issues. I also think the family issue is still important one for women in particular. I think we're beyond the time when women scientists were told they couldn't have children, or you can't be successful in this career if you have children. And as I said, I have 2 daughters, and the advice I give to women is you have to marry or be with the right partner. And they often say to me, well, how do you know who the right partner is? And I say to them, There are two kinds of good partners. There's one who says, honey, or in France, I guess you'd say, chérie, I'm going to the store. Do we need anything? That's partner one. Partner two would say, honey, I'm going to the store. We need diapers. And I tell women that you have to find partner two, the person who shares equal responsibility with childcare and is on top of things. You alone are not going to be a successful scientist and successful in your personal life if you don't share these kinds of tasks equally.